Meeting called to order. Brandon.
Thank you, ma'am. Just wanted to share with you, this is our financial integrity rating system of Texas public hearing. We're very excited. This is our 18th year in a row getting the highest accolades for this rating. And I have Donna Schwartz here tonight, Director of Budgeting. She's going to go through it with you all, show you how we're rated, the questions they ask us, and they look into looking at our data and some of the disclosures that we have to have. So she's going to share that with you, and then if there's any questions at the end, we'll be happy to answer any of them. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Verstoff, members of our community. As Brandon said, this is our public hearing for our Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas report. As he said, this is the 18th year of the School First. The School First was enacted back in 1999. Its primary objective was just for school districts to achieve quality performance in the management of our school district resources. It also promoted financial transparency. The School First ratings are based, the 2019 ratings are actually based on our data from 2018 and 2019. The system accredits a pass-fail rating and also accredits us as a superior achievement to a substandard achievement based on a 100-point criteria. So if this was a test in a classroom, the test would be worth 100 points and the pass-fail indicator would be the 60 points of passing. Again, the ratings are based on our fiscal year data from 2018-2019. We are required by law in a public hearing to also provide disclosure. So we're going to disclose the superintendent's current employment contract, as well as any reimbursements received by the superintendent and each board member. We will disclose any compensation to the superintendent for outside professional services, as well as any gift that the superintendent or the board might have received in value of $250. So this is the aha moment that we like to celebrate. This says it in a nutshell. So if we were taking a test and it was worth 100 points, we received 96 points and received the superior rating. So this is something we celebrate. This is not easy to obtain in the district. We're very proud of this. Again, this is the 18th year of us receiving a superior rating in our financial transparency financial rating system. So the first report actually has 15 indicators that we are graded on. We're going to go through each 15 indicators. The indicators in blue is the legal jargon of what we're being tested on. I'm going to go over more of a common term or an explanation of the indicators. So we're going to just dive right into this. Indicator number 1 is asking, was the 2018-19 financial audit reported to TEA by the deadline of January 28th? We passed this indicator and received the full 10 points because we were able to answer yes. Indicator number 2 is asking, was that 2018-19 financial audit a clean audit? And we received the full 10 points with this as well. There were no reports of material weaknesses in our internal controls. So our 2018-19 financial audit was a clean audit. Indicator number 3 is just asking, did the district timely pay all of our bills and obligations? And that could be any financial arrangements that we have for bonds, in essence, all of our bills, whether they're leases, long-term liabilities, and we received the full 10 points in this indicator. Indicator number 4 is something similar, but it is asking, did the district fulfill all of our payroll liabilities? So out of all of our payroll deductions that we take from employees, did we timely file any of the withholdings that we made for teachers' retirement, any of our 941 payroll taxes? If we timely paid those liabilities to the appropriate party. If we would have failed this indicator, we would have failed the entire first rating. If we didn't pass this, we would stop and we would have failed. But we were successful in timely paying child support, court orders, bankruptcies, teachers' retirement, and all the additional ones. Indicator 5 is still on the books, but it's not being scored, but we continue to disclose this. Indicator number 6 is asking, out of our general fund, how many days at the end of the fiscal year would we be able to operate if we did not receive any additional revenues? So our fiscal year goes from September 1 through August 31st. And if we were able to operate out of our general fund for greater than 90 days, we pass this indicator. And so the mathematical breakdown, we would actually have been able to operate roughly 204 days without receiving additional monies out of our general fund. So we did pass that indicator and did receive the full 10 points. Indicator number 7 is simply asking, did we have sufficient short-term assets at the end of the fiscal year to pay off any short-term liabilities? And we received the full 10 points for this indicator. Okay, indicator number 8. This is a really busy slide, but this is kind of like asking someone if their mortgage exceeds the market value of their home. We received, this also takes into account growth of students over a 5-year period. And so we did pass this indicator because we still had some operational expenses of opening a new campus. And this one would be for us opening Legacy. So we did pass this indicator without being in a high growth area, a high growth district for 2018-2019. Indicator number 9 is asking, did the district out of our general fund spend more than it earned? We're very proud of this. Very great decisions are made that we have sufficient cash on hand to operate for at least 60 days. And so the mathematical breakdown, we could roughly operate with cash on hand for roughly 203 days. So we did pass this indicator and did receive the full 10 points. Indicator number 10 is asking if we can make our mortgage payment, which is our bond indebtedness. So out of our 599, our interest and sinking fund, we did have the ability to pay all of our debt payments, again, which is our bond indebtedness. And that's for successfully passing a correct INS tax rate, as well as the revenues that we receive to pay down or pay off the required debt on an annual basis. The next couple of indicators is actually how we calculate administrative cost. So what administrative cost to instructional cost is we take our general fund out of our 1XX accounts, functions 21, which is instructional leadership, and function 41, which is our general administration. And we divide it by object codes 6100, which is payroll, our 6200s, which is contracted services, 6300 object codes, which is our general supplies, and 6400s, which is miscellaneous expenses, out of functions 11, 12, 13, and 31. What this administrative cost ratio indicates is how top heavy or financially inefficient you would be as an organization. So on indicator number 11, we are a little bit shy of getting the full 10 points. And we are going to take you back to last year when we had the public hearing. We are narrowing this indicator. It's a slow process, but we are filling in that bridge to get the full 10 points. So we ended up in indicator number 8 with the 8 possible points. Indicator number 12 is saying that if the district did not have a 15% decline in students over a 3-year period, we would pass. And so we did not have a decline in students, so we automatically passed this indicator with 10 full points. Indicator number 13 is asking, is the accuracy of our data that's reported to PEMS and to TEA accurate with our annual financial report? This is also an indicator that we're not keeping separate books from what our audit has. So there are 4 PEMS submissions that are filed with TEA in a fiscal year. And the data that we have at the district that we send to TEA in our PEMS data matches to what's in our financial audit. Number 14, the indicator number 14 is kind of similar to what indicator number 2 was. That was our annual audit for 2018, not only free of material weaknesses or lack of internal controls, but also if there were any material findings for non-compliance. So this is more of a compliance indicator, which we passed that with the full 10 points. Not only was our annual audit clean, it also had no issues with compliance, material weaknesses, or any other type of financial findings. Indicator number 15, which is the last indicator, is asking, did the district have to ask for a payment plan, a repayment plan, to pay back TEA for overspending of our state aid monies? And we didn't. So we passed that indicator. The next part of the public hearing will be the disclosures. This is a current copy of the superintendent's employment contract. It's also available on the website. My apologies, it's a lengthy document, so I wasn't able to get it on one slide. So again, this is also presented on our website. The next disclosures that I will be sharing with you is reimbursements made received by the superintendent, and there will be a similar one, a same one for the board members. But this is for fiscal year 2018-2019 that we have to keep track of any types of reimbursements. So the meal category is for any out-of-district meals, whether it's at a conference, whether it's at a meeting outside of a board meeting. Lodging would be for any type of hotel stays, to attend conferences or travel surrounded by school district business. Transportation, that would include any payments made for airfare, tolls, mileage. Does not include gasoline. So any mileage reimbursements actually in the transportation category. Fuel is for actual gas. Other is including any type of wireless cell phone charges, any type of conference registrations, any membership dues to organizations, but any conference fees to associations is included in the other category. So this is just a required disclosure for the superintendent. Likewise, the disclosures for each board member is listed along with the superintendent. Those categories, though, for meals, lodging, transportation, fuel, is the same as I explained for the superintendent as for each board member. This disclosure is asking if there was any outside compensation or fees received to the superintendent for any type of professional consulting or personal services for the 12-month ending August 31st, 2019, and there were none. This disclosure represents if there was any gifts received by the superintendent or any board member in value of $250, and none were reported. This disclosure is asking if there's any business transactions directly between the school district, superintendent, and board members for that 12-month period ending August 31st, and there are none. This disclosure is requiring us for the first 3 months of the operating fiscal year of 2019 and 20. What was our payroll cost, our contracted costs, supplies, miscellaneous expenses, our debt service, and capital outlay. So this would be the amount of expenditures by those object codes for the first 3 operating months of 2019, 2020. This report is actually taken from our district audit. Our district audits are also on our website under our financial transparency reports. And this here is just an auditor's view of what we're disclosing is true. So if you notice the first one asking about any debt agreements, any violation of that, if there were any material weaknesses, this is actually coming from an independent auditor's report that matches the information that we're saying in this public hearing. And that is my conclusion for the first, and at this time we'll take any questions, comments.
Yes, sir.
How many employees do we have?
We have roughly around 2,000, a little over 2,000 employees.
Well, that's a big payroll effort.
Yes, sir.
To be perfect on all your payments, that's amazing.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I will say for comment that I have to thank a lot of people, you know, the division leader, Dr. Verstuff, and the business and finance team. But this whole thing trickles down to the campus bookkeepers, principals, following, you know, procedures and protocols that we put in place, and people doing their job very well at a superior job. And so I just wanted to say that about this is not one group or one member or one person. It's a whole collective organization following the procedures and protocols that we have in place, and people that are checking in on it and making sure we're compliant, and just doing a really good job of what they do every day.
Congratulations, Brandon. It's obvious that your department has always had a very strong framework and that it never fails you. I've been here 12 years and you never fail to be outstanding in your scores. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I already mentioned that. I just want to be sure that we recognize Brandon, Donna too. It's great to have Donna really helping in this arena. I think she's an expert in being able to track the fiscal objects of our district and does it in such a really professional way. And so thank you, Donna, and congratulations. I mean, 18 years running superior rating is something to be proud about and something to hang your hat on. So really great presentation. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if there's any questions from the few folks that we have, but this is the time for anyone to ask any questions. Or online.
So if there's any other questions, no, any public questions? Do we know? Nobody, okay, then we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:05.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting at 6:07 Central Standard Time, which is 5:07 where I'm at. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to our regularly scheduled November meeting. And we'd like to begin with invocation and pledges to our flags.
Yes, sir. We have Ms. Janice Hernandez, our Director of Communication, with lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you so much. Almighty God, allow us to collectively bring reflection and wisdom to our meeting. May we use our expertise and our judgment to continue to the well-being of our students and the families that we serve. May we be listeners more than speakers, and may we always have in mind your will for the future of our district. And tonight, we also want to have prayers sent out to Mr. Mike Frazier in hopes of a speedy recovery. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Flag
of
of
the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor,
And Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas,
one state, under God,
under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
That delay.
Yeah, I hear it. Okay, moving right along, we're gonna go to item 3. Canvass votes and declare winners of the November 3rd, 2020 election.
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Brandon Crisp, who is our election deputy for the district, and he will cover that item and do the declaration, canvass the votes and declaration as a winner. So, Mr. Crisp?
Yep, thank you, sir. Sure. Before we get started, on your desktop there's this sheet here. As the election results continue to come in, even late Friday night, this part wasn't put into the board packet, but the only thing that changed was your absentee voters, the mail-in ballots that still came in. So there was some slight changes. So I'm going to go through that. So on November 3rd, 2020, Southwest ISD held a joint election with Bexar County to fill 2 at-large places on the board currently held by Mr. Mike Frazier and Ms. Yolanda Garza Lopez. There were a total of 5 candidates running for these 2 positions. We conducted early voting at the district administration building and throughout the Bexar County election sites from October 13th through October 30th. And then election day voting was conducted from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. At the following sites within Southwest ISD plus all the Bexar County sites. We contracted with Bexar County to run our elections for us, and we had a total of 17,975 votes. On election day, we had 2,769 votes, and then early voting, we had 13,736 votes. And then mail-in ballots, we had a total of 1,470 votes. At this time, the recommendation to the board is to approve the canvass of the 2020 school board election results and declare Ms. Yolanda Garza Lopez and Mr. Peter Bernal the winners of the election.
I move.
Thank you. Need a motion? I heard it coming from Ida,
I move.
Second.
and there's been a second. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Excuse me?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
How many actual people voted?
Total, sir, was 17,975 voted in our election.
Any other questions? Discussion? Hearing none, we do have a motion and a second that the board approves the canvass of the 2020 school board election results, declaring Mrs. Yolanda Garza Lopez and Mr. Pete Bernal as the winners. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against, same sign. Hearing no one against, motion passes. Congratulations, Ms. Yolanda Garza Lopez and Mr. Pete Bernal. We'll ask Mr. Pete Bernal, please take a seat amongst the board. Thank you. Okay, and before we go on to electing newly elected trustees, well, no. Before we go on to electing officers, we'll go ahead and administer the oath of office to newly elected trustees. Mona, you gonna do this?
Yes, sir.
Before I do that, can I make a quick statement?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I would like to take a moment to reflect on the election of 2020 and what it meant for our community. For decades, our school board elections have pretty much been determined by 500 to 1,000 community members. A very small voter base that I want to acknowledge for their commitment and dedication to public education. This year, due to COVID, the Southwest ISD election dates were moved to coincide with the national general election. A general election that I knew was going to attract a record-setting voter turnout. I saw this as an opportunity to reach out and connect with our very diverse, broader community. I committed to breaking the status quo of a board that has been led by well-meaning intentions that sometimes fall short of real-world assessment due to lack of relationship building within the communities that we represent and who most need us to represent them. So I enlisted the help of my family and friends, and we prepared. We prepared to do the necessary outreach work during a worldwide pandemic by telling a story. The story of an Hispanic woman, daughter of immigrant parents, first-generation college educated, professional businesswoman, substitute teacher, tutor, wife, mother, and community servant. All the years of working with so many wonderful people across this community immediately became apparent. I felt a strong connection with so many of you. The understanding, the support, the love. I soon realized I did not stand alone. I stood shoulder to shoulder with you because this was not just my story. It was our story. When the election results were posted, I felt overwhelmed and grateful. Grateful to be a part of our great community, grateful to represent Southwest ISD, and for the chance to partner with this community. I want you to know I am strong, I am determined, and most of all, I am ready, willing, and able to do the work. The work that is necessary to provide the educational opportunities for our children that will be their portal to success. I recognize that time for the old school mentalities and gentlemen agreements that have shaped our district for too long must come to an end. This is our chance for change. Thank you.
So we now administer, and thank you for your words, Ms. Garza Lopez. So now if we can ask our incumbent board member, our new board member, please stand. We're going to deliver the oath, and then I would also like to make a few remarks.
I would power to me as another for the great state of Texas. I hereby administer the elected Southwest ISD. Raise your right hand. Your response is cheese. Swear that you will faithfully execute of the office of trustee of the Southwest ISD. You will to the best of your ability preserve, protect, and Constitution, laws of the United States and of the states. And furthermore, solemnly swear that you have not directly nor indirectly paid or promised to pay, or promised to contribute any money, valuable things, or property to public office, or the reward of
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
10-carat diamond bracelet and more. Shop online with a virtual.
I just want to say, I know,
The diamond stone.
the other thing is you guys with the college group chat. I know we've been through a different life.
Sorry.
Introducing guest audio.
Alex, a lot of people are, I think we will, more in our postcards about what we do, how do we collectively make decisions moving forward for our students. So I just want to congratulate
you know, at the end of the day, the community has spoken, and I work at the will of the board, and the board, you know, is elected by the will of the community, and that's how we're all accountable and responsible for one another. So I just want to congratulate you. I know Mr. Brown has been part of the district and been at many events and been engaged. It wasn't his first time. There is, we look forward to working with you. Glad that Brother Lincoln is coming back to the board. We're excited to continue working with this board. I also remember a gentleman who's not here, but he's dedicated 4 decades to our youth and to our community. And through that work and effort and working together with 6 other board members over 4 decades, have really set out a path forward for a lot of people. We'll never forget that. And I just want you guys to know we're going to recognize when that time comes by taking I think the gavel he's used for 40 years and put in a shadow box and have an opportunity to celebrate that, because that's something we celebrate. But I just want to say, wherever we were, today's a new day. It's about moving forward. And at the end of the day, it's about how we collectively work to create better outcomes for the students that we serve. But at the end of the day, that's who we serve. So I don't want to forget that. I know you guys don't, and I know that's true for as well.
Can I say something up first?
Absolutely.
From that same line yesterday, my wife and I talked to Linda Frazier. Mike has been transferred to a rehabilitation hospital close to Methodist. She believes that he has reached a point where he's beginning to get better now. He had already reached it, but as we know with this disease, there are ups and downs. And she, of course, has had a terrible, terrible time. And it really goes to show that sometimes we don't really recognize what's really important in life. And one of those things that God has blessed us with is with formulas for good health. And we just want to remember, I think, that we are all creatures of God, and He's in control. And remember our brothers, in this case Mike, in our prayers. No one could even begin to describe what Mike did for this district, starting out over 30 years ago, the little 3,000 kids in this school district. So many people, think of all the people who've gone through this system while Mike was here. And I just wanted to hope that we find a way to recognize it.
And we do have that plan at a later date. So we've taken the oath. We have Mr. Banal up here. We have Mr. Londegaard up back. We have our trustees, Mr. President. We're ready to move forward on the next agenda item. Do you just want me to go into that? Or you want to turn the meeting over to me?
Can't hear what he's saying.
Mr. Vasquez?
How's that?
Yeah, can't hear.
Okay. Yes, please, Lloyd. I'm turning it over to you anyhow for this first part of the.
Hang on, sir. Go ahead.
I'm turning it over to you, Lloyd.
Thank you. So Mr. Vasquez, in his role as presiding officer of this meeting, has turned the meeting over to me. And this is the time of the meeting, now that we have taken the oath, we have our board members present. It's time to restructure the executive branch of our Board of Trustees. And so I'm going to open up the floor and call for nominations for the office of Board President.
I nominate Sylvester Vasquez for board president.
Second.
Do we have any other nominations? So I have a nomination for Board President of Sylvester Vasquez. I have a second from Mr. Sullivan. All those in favor of Mr. Vasquez becoming Board President, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
So to the best of my ability, I heard 4 ayes, two 2 noes. So the motion carries, and that means Mr. Sylvester Vasquez will become the board president. And so, Mr. President, I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Yes, sir.
And before I go out, I'm gonna take a minute of personal privilege myself now. I've served half the time that Mike has served, and I waited, never pushed him for the presidency. We worked together really well. I didn't ever think I'd be taking over as president in this manner, but this is how it's happened, and I will serve all of you to the best of my ability, beginning with the community and this board. So let's continue with our work. Now for the office of Vice President.
Keith Barham for Vice President.
I second.
I have a nomination for Keith Byram for Vice President and a second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all in favor of Keith Byram, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay, I'm gonna, because I want to make sure I'm getting the nays as, I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3, so I'm gonna call for a roll call vote. And I'm gonna call you out by name and ask you if it's yes or no. And I'm gonna go in alphabetical order. Flo Bernal,
Yes.
Pete Bernal,
No.
Keith Byram,
Yes.
Yolanda Garza Lopez,
No.
Ida Sodolkin,
Yes.
James Sullivan,
Yes.
and myself, I'll say yes. So the motion, the nomination passes. Congratulations, Keith Byram as Vice President. Okay, now we'll move on to Secretary. Do I have any nominations for Secretary?
Ida Sedok is Secretary of the Board.
Second.
I have a motion, have a nomination and a second for Ida Sedolkin. Are there any other nominations for Secretary? Hearing none, all in favor of Ida Sedolkin for Secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Now I can hear a little better, and if, unless I'm corrected by anyone present at the board meeting, I am accepting Ida's nomination passing with 2 nays and 5 yeses. Okay, now for Assistant Secretary.
Nominate James Sullivan for Assistant Secretary. I second.
Who made the second, please?
Flo Bernal.
Thank you, Flo. Okay. I have James Sullivan nominated for Assistant Secretary and a second. Is there any other nomination? Hearing none, all in favor of James Sullivan for Assistant Secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay, and it also passes 5-2. Okay, now we will take a 2-minute break at this time. for the rearranging of chairs.
We're gonna do some musical chair arranging.
Did Keith step out?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's back in, so that's.
Okay. Okay, this recess is now over. We'll move on to item 6, recognitions. Lloyd, will Janice be handling that?
Yes,
Janice? Janice, can you hear me?
yes, sir.
Yes, so we have Ms. Janice Hernandez, Director of Communications.
Okay. We'll start with our first presentation tonight. Our first recognition, if y'all can hear me, is Madison Torres with Hidden Cove Elementary School. Madison is highly creative thinker and puts forth her best effort in everything she does. During classroom discussions, Madison confidently leads her classmates through collaborative discourse and encourages her peers to share their thoughts. Madison is bold, intelligent, and never gives up. We are proud to call Madison a Hidden Cove Eagle Scholar. Congratulations to Madison.
Yay.
Up next, we have Resnick Middle School's Adeline Faith Marquez. Adeline is a very active 8th grade student at Resnick Middle School who is part of our National Junior Honor Society, Girl Scouts, and our Student Council. Adeline is an honor roll student and is very active. She helps make the morning announcements alongside other students. Adeline would like to pursue a degree in law and attend St. Mary's University. She likes to read and loves sports very much, mainly basketball. Her goals are to improve herself to get what she wants in life. Congratulations, Adeline.
Yay.
Up next, we have Angeles Cobos with Southwest Legacy High School. Angeles Cobos has been a member of Southwest Legacy Interact Club since its first meeting in August of 2017 and has served as vice president for 2 years. Her older sister Jacqueline first held the position until she graduated in 2019. Angeles has attended all campus and community service events that have taken place since Interact began, and she even led and helped enhance our yearly Project Overcrow initiative, where we clothed the homeless and supported a local animal shelter during their pet adoption event. Angeles is also the vice president of Best Buddies and has held the role for 2 years. Angeles will be graduating with a certificate in audiovisual technology and is considering a career path in ophthalmology. Congratulations, Angeles.
Yay.
Up next, we have a special presentation from CPS Energy, actually Blue Santa.
Good evening, members of the Southwest ISD School Board and Dr. Versto. The holiday season will soon be upon us, and although we cannot come together and celebrate the spirit of Christmas Southwest ISD style, we want to continue the tradition of giving to our students and their families during this unprecedented time. As a result of the pandemic, our community has suffered. with the loss of loved ones and the loss of employment, which has shaken our peace of mind. So we hope that with the help of the many generous donations, Blue Santa will still bring a little cheer to the community. Southwest has always been a great supporter of the annual Blue Santa event, and I hope we can count on you to be there for the Blue Santa gift giveaway on December the 12th from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Although we won't hear the inspiring sounds of the amazing Southwest High School Dragon Band marching up the parade route, the caroling of children, or cries of delight as their families laugh and cheer on all of our parade participants, or smell the delightful scents of funnel cakes cooking, what we will experience is a timeless spirit. That is Southwest Independent School District. I leave you with this: stay safe, keep the faith, and thank our public servants who work round the clock to keep us all safe. Merry Christmas and a happy Blue Year.
So that was our Blue Santa presentation. He couldn't be there in person, but that was our virtual presentation. Up next, we have a special message from CPS Energy.
Hello, Southwest ISD. My name is Robert Olivares, and I am the Key Account Manager assigned to you here at CPS Energy. My role is to help with any billing issues, rebates, construction projects, and of course, demand response. Our demand response program is funded through our Save for Tomorrow Energy Plan, also known as STEP. I'm sure we can all agree that this year has been a very crazy year, and which is why it's more of an accomplishment and why we appreciate you guys even more, that you guys were able to participate and achieve about 76% of your goal, resulting in this check for $167,000. Thank you for your continued participation, and I look forward to next year.
Yeah, we like Blue Santa, but the last guy was better.
Thank you so much, and that concludes our recognitions for tonight.
Thank you, Jack.
Yes, it's always great to see CPS. And yes, Blue Santa, Lloyd, I'm sure we'll get some more info later and on how we as a community can help with the gifts.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll be taking donations of all kinds. So let's see what we can put together on behalf of our community.
Absolutely.
Okay, this time we'll move on to item number 7, public comments.
Yes, sir. We have 3 people who have signed up to speak, and what I'd like to do, Mr. Nathan Kaddoris has done a great job facilitating this in the past, and I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Kaddoris at this time to introduce our speakers.
Let's do
All
it.
right, thank you, Dr. Burstow. Thank you, board members. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're going to have 3 guest speakers tonight. I'm going to go ahead and just read, before we begin that, to read some good information for all of our speakers to know before they present tonight, okay? The Board of Trustees will now hear public comments. In order to provide consistency and fairness to all individuals, public comments will be heard in accordance with Board Policy BED Local and procedures outlined in Administrative Regulation BED. Comments should be limited to general comments or specific agenda items listed on the posted agenda notice for this meeting. Public comments will be limited to individuals who signed up to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting by the end of the day, which is 4:30 p.m., the Monday directly preceding the scheduled meeting. An individual who signs up to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting may not relinquish their time to another individual. No public comments shall exceed 3 minutes time for general comments or 2 minutes time for comments specific to any board item listed on the posted agenda notice for this meeting. To ensure compliance with time limitations, a verbal notification will be announced at 1 minute time to expire. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Julia Stotts, who will be presenting on the topic of accountability and representation. And Ms. Stotts, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Verstep and school board members for giving me the opportunity to address you. First, I wanted to remind everyone that I'm related to a board member, but what I bring to you today only represents my perspective and what I have witnessed all too recently. As I think through the events of the last few weeks, the divisiveness between members of our community and society were front and center and readily on display. Yet while working here to support candidates for the school board, I was disappointed that party affiliations and the demeaning rhetoric evident in political races had spilled over to our school board election. In my view, school boards in general, and especially Southwest ISD School Board, have historically been above the fray. In fact, working to ensure the most effective programs and allocation of resources were considered based on the needs of our student population. In that regard, ideas, not personalities, were the most important reasons to elect a school board member. Unfortunately, I personally witnessed a significant departure from prior years during this election. I wanted you to know that during this cycle, the personality of one of your former colleagues was attacked, besmirched, and generally distorted to effect a change in the composition of the current school board. Ideas are not the debate of choice. Rather, your colleague's race, his community loyalty, and age were used to repeatedly discriminate and cast doubt on the individual's capacity to continue to serve. I find the tactics used to be reprehensible and should be unacceptable to every member of the school board. Additionally, offices held by school board members must be based on the ideas and integrity displayed by serving school board members. Seeking office for the purpose of power, control, and self-promotion are not acceptable reasons to hold an office. The conduct I witnessed suggests that not all school board members have the appropriate perspective, talent, or clarity of thought to hold an office. And not to mention
There's 1 minute left.
An unfortunate understanding of what methods are acceptable to use when running for a school board seat. Some people may say that the school board election is over and we should just put the past behind us, but we cannot close our eyes to further embolden an incumbent to speak with impunity. We ask our students every day to be accountable for their actions because we know that accountability promotes honesty and integrity. If integrity is important to Southwest ISD, which I believe it is, I ask that you take a moment to remember why you are on the school board. And I urge you to consider the approach you take to future decisions. And I ask that you put personal agenda aside for the good of the students and the community. Thank you, Dr. Verstep. Thank you, school board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stotts.
Thank you, Ms. Stotts. At this time, I would like to go ahead and turn it over to Susan Salinas from TSTA. She will go ahead and present next. Ms. Salinas, are you there?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. You may begin.
Good evening, school board members, Superintendent Verstep, and the community. I am Susan Salinas, TSTA staff, speaking tonight regarding the results of the elections and social distancing. Today's TSTA would like to thank Mr. Frazier for his many years of service on the school board. His time on the board has shown he wanted to do what was best for the students and employees of the district. He was always very kind and welcoming to those who signed up to speak at board meetings. I hope he gets well very soon. In kind, we would like to welcome Mr. Bernal to the school board and offer our congratulations. We wish him all the best as he starts his new role on the school board. And again, congratulations to Ms. Garza Lopez for her re-election. We wish her well as she continues to advocate for students and employees of the district. For the upcoming holidays, we hope families will follow the advice of scientists about getting together. It is better to have Zoom and FaceTime get-togethers instead of huge family in-person gatherings. Scientists are worried that holidays will be super spreaders with the families, and we need to encourage families to make plans to change it up this year. It is better to have be extra safe so that we can all be together next year in person. District employees have been doing their part in this pandemic. Teachers have taken on the task of teaching virtually and face-to-face. If you have a loved one who's a teacher, you know the extra work that goes into teaching in 2 different formats. The paraprofessional staff, who are the backbone of a campus, have been doing so much to support our teachers. A huge thank you goes to our custodial staff, who are working beyond expectations to keep the schools disinfected. The employees in maintenance are doing everything to ensure the schools have the supplies needed to keep schools cleaned and ventilated. The cafeteria workers have done so much to make sure our students don't go hungry. Police officers patrol our schools and deal with the community to keep everyone safe. The front office staff are in direct line with the public and do excellent job keeping it all together. The administration team at the campus level are putting in their time to ensure their campus runs smoothly. Communication is clear.
1 minute.
Supportive of teachers. The central office administration has been doing their best to respond to all calls about COVID and all other questions that have come their way. With this being said, TSA implores the district to continue to practice social distancing by keeping the desks 6 feet apart and requiring everyone to wear a face mask. Even if the district has more students who want to attend face-to-face, social distancing must be practiced. We should not become lax and have any type of other meetings. It's still the best practice to do via Zoom. Let's put the safety of our students and employees first. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas. At this time, I would like to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Jessica Aragon. Ms. Aragon, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. At this time, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you. You may begin.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, board members, and Dr. Verstuff. My name is Jessica Aragon, Southwest TSTA NEA President, teacher, parent, and community member of Southwest ISD. I wanted to take this time to give our thanks to Mr. Frazier for all the support and dedication throughout the years for our school district and our community. We appreciate all he has done and accomplished. We hope he gets well soon. I also want to congratulate you, Mrs. Garza Lopez, on your re-election, and to our newly elected board member, Mr. Bernal. We hope to continue a partnership of growth and commitment for our students, community, faculty, and staff in all of our buildings. Our hope is to also be a part of the important conversations that we are directly involved in. I also wanted to say thank you for realizing the struggles that our educators are going through during this pandemic and noticing the hard work they are doing. Our transportation department for getting our kids to school and home every day, our custodians for keeping our buildings safe and clean, and to our teachers and aides who are working diligently to balance our face-to-face and virtual learning during this time. We hope that you continue to follow the guidelines of the city along with the districts to keep us safe and are continuously monitoring our buildings to make sure they are in compliance. We look forward to working with you and to be a part of the important conversations that pertain to our students, community, faculty, and staff. We all know that working together and building those bridges gets us to the places we want to be. Though it may be bumpy sometimes, we can get through it together. Thanks again for all you do for our school district, and we are looking forward to working with you to continue in making Southwest ISD the best it can be. Have a great evening, be safe, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll go ahead and turn the floor back over.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you. Okay. We now have the consent agenda. Board members.
Mr. President,
Yes.
can I please ask if we can move item 12B before our consent agenda?
No, I think you want item 12C.
B as in boy, yes. I told you.
No. Is it the certified tax roll or is it the consideration approval of?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're correct.
It's okay. It's 12C, and yes, I will move on to it after the consent agenda, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And board members, you've had the consent agenda, been able to study it. Any questions on the consent agenda? If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve it as presented to you.
Real quick before we go, Mr. Vasquez, on the consent agenda, we did have an item, which is the consider approval of RFP 2021-103 music equipment and supplies. In your board book, there was a miscalculation. So the totals, this is a RFP that we did for the funds that y'all gave to the fine arts department to buy equipment to replenish all the fine arts equipment. And on this RFP, the awarded vendors and the totals weren't totaled up correctly. So it actually came out to 1.1 million. And so I wanted to share with y'all before y'all actually approve it. And actually on the spreadsheet down on item 93, you couldn't really see the number there in the board book. So we have a revised copy there of 103,000 for the awarded vendor on item number 93. Just wanted to share that with you before you voted on it.
Okay, so board members, what we're looking for then is a motion to approve the consent agenda as corrected.
I move. A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Consent agenda passes. And now we'll move on to, we have a request to move to the top of the list, item 12C.
Yes, sir.
Item 12C, and unless there's anyone that doesn't want to move it, we will move it. Board members, anyone opposed to moving it? Hearing no one, item 12C.
Thank you, sir. Tonight with me, I have Mark McCliney from Samco. At the last brown bag, we gave everybody an update on a possible refunding and refunding activity. And tonight we're coming to you to ask for a parameter sale so that we can continue to monitor it and make decisions as we move forward. The parameter sale gives us the ability, it gives me and Dr. Verstuff the authority to move forward in case the market goes in the direction we either need it to or don't need it to, so that we can move fast. And at the same time, we can continue to monitor to get to a good point where we need to make a decision. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mark so he can kind of hit the highlights for you. It's really the same kind of presentation that we already did, but tonight's an actual approval.
Thank you. My name is Mark McCliney. I'm at Samco Capital Markets. I go through the whole presentation, but I'm going to take you to page 5, which is current conditions. And I'll give you some numbers that are a little bit different. What we talked about at the brown bag 2 weeks ago was the possibility to refund the Series 2011 bonds that were issued with interest rates up to 5% coupons. That's really high in today's market. Mm-hmm. The problem with issuing bonds today for something that we can refund a year from now is they'd have to be taxable. So we could refund them now as taxable bonds. And I'm going to show you quickly those numbers. But if we wait to 10 months from now, then they can be tax exempt. Tax exempt interest rates are lower than taxable bonds. Mm-hmm. So the savings go up. But we can't not think about savings right now. So I want to show you where they are now. Bernie Independent School District literally sold bonds today, taxable bonds, and using that interest rate, if you look on page 5, you'll see right in the middle, it says taxable advance refunding. Gross savings, $27 million. That would be our savings in today's interest rate. Now, just to the right of that, you'll see tax exempt savings. If we wait, and interest rates stay the same. We know interest rates will not stay the same. They go up and down. Mm-hmm. But if we wait, savings go from $27 million to $36,850,000. Huge difference if we get the benefit of waiting. We're asking you to give us authority to proceed, but we want to wait and get more savings, but we don't want to wait so long that we lose the savings. So what's the difference in today's rates if rates start going up? Down there on the bottom, the last paragraph, it would take 81 basis points, so nearly an entire 1% rate increase before, if we wait, issue them as tax exempt, rates have to go up that much before we start getting into $27 million savings. Mm-hmm. In my experience in doing this, I've never seen rates move that quickly in 10 months. But we don't want to be caught red-handed, not ready. So we're asking you to authorize us to proceed if rates start moving against us and we start losing the savings. We are going to keep reporting back to staff and indirectly to you, and we'd be happy to come here regularly also each month. But if we can get to September or October of next year, savings go way up. That's our plan, but we do need your permission to have the order ready. We will sit with an offering document ready so that we can turn around and go immediately if things start looking like it's moving against us. One other benefit to wait is we will know what your taxable values are next year. We can then size the bond issue and your first bond payment to match your INS tax rate. So let's say we get a big growth and we want to keep our tax rate 43 cents. We pay off more bonds in year one, increasing the savings again. So there's lots of opportunities and benefits to wait if rates stay close to where they are. I wouldn't be looking to wait if the Federal Reserve, and we talked about this at the Brown Bag, didn't say we're going to keep interest rates low until 2023, giving us that opportunity. But as I said, we don't want to miss out if we're wrong. So this gives us, if you authorize this order, it gives us permission to proceed if rates start moving against us. Again, our goal, our hope would be that we could wait a year and do this as tax exempt. I'm happy to go into this in more detail, page to page. Mr. Bernal, you're new. If you want to call or set up an appointment, I'll come out and sit with you and go through it all. Happy to do it, or of course, individually with anybody on the board. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, but this is a rehash of what we talked about the Brown Bag.
Right. This is part of the resolution authorizing Mr. Chris and myself to work with our financial advisors in the event that starts getting out of hand, which we don't think it will, but in the event that we can put things in order, then we'll bring it back to the board as soon as we can as well.
And we are unsure. No one's lived through COVID. Interest rates kind of popped after the election, and they came right back down because more cases are going on, meaning the economy is going to slow. What happens when the economy slows? Interest rates drop. So it gives us a feeling that we're going to be fine by waiting, but we don't want to be caught red-handed and not be ready if rates do move against us.
I pretty much had that question. I was wondering what you base your prediction on in thinking and believing that 12 months from now, we can have a major savings.
Well, two things. One, 80 basis points in 1 year in tax exempt would be an unprecedented move in the bond market. We're in unprecedented times because of COVID. No one knows. The other is the Federal Reserve saying we are going to keep rates low because the economy is not picking up steam. It's not, it's improved to where we were from April or May, but it's nowhere near where they want it to be. And they want to keep rates down so people hire, expand their businesses and so forth. And their tool, the Federal Reserve's tool, is to keep rates low. So those two items are what makes me think that we have time to wait.
Thank you.
And so that would be a recommendation from us, but there is a motion that needs to happen to make the motion. I move. We have to have a board member read it.
I move that the Board of Trustees adopt an order authorizing the issuance Southwest Independent School District unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2021, pursuant to a delegated sale.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mark. Okay, now we'll go on to, or back to item 9, items of information. A, construction update.
Sir, tonight we have Mr. Rafael Morales. Can we grab him? Okay. Going to give a quick update on some of our construction projects.
Good evening. Well, the first project update, I don't have a presentation on, so I'll just, it's the HVAC and re-roof project. We, right now, all of the gyms are air conditioned. What FA Nonly is working on right now is finalizing the punch list items. We're also, during the Thanksgiving break, they're gonna install the remaining 2 units that were left over at Creewald, as well as the second half of the units at Elm Creek. And that would complete the installation of the HVAC systems on those 2 schools 100%. Over the Christmas break, what they're gonna be doing is doing some of the head work for McAuliffe. That is the last portion of the project for this scope of work. It's all the interior air handler units at McAuliffe Middle School. So we're gonna be prepping for that to be done over the summer. There's no way for us to be doing that while school is in session, since that's gonna knock out a lot of the interior or the older original portion of McAuliffe Middle School. And right now I am gonna go. Let's pull this one. The next project I'm going to be giving you guys an update on is Southwest High School. Southwest High School Phase 3. And on this one, we're about 32% complete on the project. We're on the second floor. You see the map here on section C. We have taken over 8 classrooms in that area, as well as the old home ec wing to be renovated. The structural reinforcing for the units is now complete. The flooring, the painting, the ceiling grid is now installed, all of the lighting. We went through a fire marshal inspection for overhead this week on this section. We passed, and now we're waiting on the marker boards to be installed during spring break, as well as the new teacher cabinets on this area. All of this work, again, it's gonna go through Thanksgiving break. CanCon and Southwest ISD are now coordinating on the second portion of the renovation, or the next set of renovation areas that'll take over, and I'll just swap to the plan. It's on your last page. So the section in blue is what's currently being worked on. Again, those 8 classrooms, as well as the home ec area. The next area that's going to be taken over in December is the area in green, and that will be 10 classrooms and the library. Now, the library won't take a renovation. It wasn't part of this scope, but we need to take over a certain area again to do some reinforcing for the new HVAC units that will be coming on top of the library. And that's pretty much the update on Southwest High School Phase 3. I don't know if you all have any questions on this.
I can
Any
just go on that tour. I'd like to set one up with you. I'd just
Absolutely.
like to see what's going on over there.
Yes, ma'am?
Thank you.
All right. The next project or progress report is Scobie Middle School on, and I'm going to jump into the plans and the plan so you guys are aware. On the first floor, the area highlighted is what Bartlett Cobb took over since the beginning of school. It's the old robotics lab, as well as computer and technology lab on the first floor. On that project, all of the painting has started, the new ceiling wreath, the new lighting. The other section they went ahead and took over was the courtyard. We had to demo all of the existing concrete work around the courtyard. It wasn't ADA accessible, and it was also failing on some concrete around the outside restrooms and the gymnasium. That portion of the concrete work has now been completed. They're just working on the drainage portion. And on the second floor, about 3 weeks ago, they took over the 300 corridor. Again, all of them was complete. Now they're going back and doing the first coat of paint, installation of grid, lighting, flooring has also begun. So that project is progressing pretty good with Barlow Koch and Garza Baumberger as the architects. Do you guys have any questions on Scully Middle School? And then the third project I'm here to present is the natatorium. So we received bids, subcontractor bids, or Joris received subcontractor bids on November 5th. They started generating a GMP as of November 6th. They're still going through it. We're going through buyout process right now. And our goal is to present or have a GMP document, preliminary document by Joris by the end of this week to be presented to y'all at our brown bag meeting on December 8th for full approval. With your approval, we will then proceed to give Joris the notice to proceed on December 9th and start the project then to be completed on March of 2022. So to give you a recap, our design development, and I'm just going to point out the second line, our design development budget was $27.4 million, and that included everything, soft cost, design fees, materials testing, everything that the project needs to do to happen. Our initial GMP was for 27.4. It was right under 20,000 of our projected estimate. So we're well underway to start this project. There is, however, a lot of design alternates that were brought up by the district or other members that wanted to be implemented. We knew that these were probably not going to be able to fit on the initial budget, but we asked the design team and Joris to price them. On the alternate number one is the resinous floor. Our base bid is actually a concrete deck on the pool deck. Alternate number two is metal screens. Alternate number four, and I'll go through these in a little bit more detail. Alternate number four is the timing display. And again, it's one or the other. It won't be the 87,000 or the 124,000. We will do one or the other. Alternate number five is a limestone veneer facing McAuliffe. Alternate number six is an additional row of spectator seating. And then number seven will be additional wall tile on the locker rooms. Currently, we have paint at CMU. And then the last alternate is the swimming pool roof equipment. So on alternate number one, again, our base bid is to have the concrete decking around the pool. We had come across the resinous flooring. We know that it's very, very common on athletic facilities. We have them in all our locker rooms on high schools or Southwest High School. We also implemented some at, a lot of it at Legacy. It's just very common, anti-slip resistant. It's very maintenance free. This was one of our top items that we wanted Joris to price. Walker Pool has this type of flooring, and it just works very well for pools. On item number two is an outdoor activities area. This one was just to provide kind of an overflow for swimmers to be outside, and that's this lime green square. So what that price includes is wrought iron fencing, around that area, as well as lighting and some power for overflow. If teams need to be out there and camp out while meets are happening, it's kind of a designated spot.
How large is the area?
That will probably, I think that's about a 60 by 40 feet area. And again, this price includes not only the fencing, but there's some additional electrical work and additional sod. On item number 3, or alternate number 3, were the metal screens on the stairs. If you look at, sorry, and I'm gonna point out, the existing stairs have, or egress stairs on all 3 sides. Again, they're all gonna meet code. They're gonna look, and very well, they're gonna tie with the building. This was just a design or aesthetic alternate to provide fins to cover those stairs. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's also concrete footings that need to go so they don't act as fins when wind blows. So that's why that price is $130,000.
Rafael, on those screens, can you see through them very easily, or is it?
They're perforated, so you'll be able to see something behind it, but not clearly.
So
through
nobody
it.
can just like be hiding behind there?
Right,
Okay.
right. And we have also put on our security layout, there's cameras facing those stairwells on all 3 of them. On alternate number 4, we have our base bid is the top 2. It's just a fixed digit scoreboard system. On talking with the athletic department and other swimming venues around, more and more of the timing system is going into the programmable and video displays set in the middle. So alternate 4A is for 2 video boards. Alternate 4B is for, if you want to call it, a mid-size video board and a jumbo video board on the natatorium side. And again, our recommendation would be to choose one or the other. There will be no additive cost to do 4A plus B.
The digital walker was B, correct?
That's correct. So this is one of the samples that Martin Mock put. This is Walker Pool with the biggest or the bigger jumbo size video board.
They did say they didn't have like people in one that days, but actually one side does like
Alternate number 5 is the limestone veneer on these columns facing McAuliffe. Now, all of the north area will be burnished block that will tie into the rest of the building. There was a request to put in these columns wrapped around instead of the burnished block with the limestone veneer, and that's the cost that's associated with adding the stone veneer as alternate number 5. Alternate number 6 is the additional last row of seating. There's room to add another 71 seats. However, as it is on the base bid, we're already at 706 seats. So this will be above and beyond that count. Alternate number 7 will be the wall tile and the locker and the grooming stations. The showers already have wall tile, but this is to implement more of the wall tile in the public areas. Again, part of the base bid is just painted CMU. This alternate would include to add tile to all those wet areas around. One of the pros of that will be maintenance. If these are the public spaces where we're going to be open to the public, they're just easier to maintain overall. And then alternate number 8 is actually a deduct alternate. Part of the bid has this equipment in it. One of the venues that we're looking into is doing that as a direct purchase through the district and saving $81,000 from the GMP. So we'll be backing that project out, and that $81,000 includes, of course, the fees associated with the project. So we would be saving that amount if we back it out and purchase it directly ourselves.
Okay, can you go back to the overall list? And so, a couple of things. George says they're working through their documents. They told us that they're on budget for the base budget. These items here, they're not in any order except I would say number one is for, as a district, would be highly recommended by our staff, having a resident forum in the building. That is an added cost. The rest of these, we, as the district, as we looked at them, we looked at how it impacts students. So what on there is something that would be for the actual competition. And so item 4B, the large and the video boards that we saw at Walker would be a recommendation. The rest of these, we would look to you all as a board as we get into the GMP day. I will also bring a document with all the budgets of current projects and the savings that we had on projects. If you remember, we've added to this project already as we've gone through design, because the original design we did the bond, we weren't putting one pool, we weren't putting a Mirtha pool. We've added 2 pools, we've added Mirtha, and so there was some cost to that to make it a really nice facility. And some of these here that we see, some of them for us on the district side, we would not recommend, but if the board would like to move forward. But I will show you that we do have savings, that this won't come out of fund balance, but this could come out of some of the bond funds and show you some future projects. We still have 2 other projects to do, transportation department, and we still have the tracks that we have to do at our middle schools. And if you recall, we had the middle school tracks that we put out for bid that came in way over budget, almost $1 million, and so we did a no bid. We want to put that back out on the street to see where we land, because most likely, because of SCOBY and the terrain in the area, that's kind of the area that we ran into problems with the tracks. And so we may have to put some money towards that. But we're going to have a list, a document for you to see all the funds that we've saved and potential savings. And if we need to move any funds to cover some of these from excessive bond funds that we have left over because our market's been good. Yes, go ahead, Sylvester.
Okay, thank you, Brent. I just want to say that during the facilities meeting, and Keith and Yolanda, please add in if you'd like, we did discuss these alternates, and we talked about how 3 and 5 are primarily cosmetic and probably not needed. And number 6 is not, we don't think it's worth another 70 seats for that amount, and we're good with 700. And number 2 and number 8, we talked about doing in-house. Number 2, possibly getting some assistance from the county. Was it the county?
It's a city. They actually gave us 25,000 already for that.
Okay. So and we can do those in-house. So we're primarily looking at 1, 4B, and 7 that we really feel like they would not only be true upgrades, but they would be a great service for our kids. Keith, Yolanda, do you have anything to add?
I have a question. Did they have someone from the construction of folks out there to explain that to them, or what? Or you guys discussed it amongst yourselves? What was needed, what you feel are the ones that we should.
Some of these items that came up here that are outside the scope of the project, these were when we had meetings with different times when we met throughout the year that we said these are things that we might like to do. Some of these were either was from board members or is from a program. So there's the scoreboards and the displays actually came from the athletic department. The rest of this morning actually we saw it at Walker. It's the durability of it, and also with how to maintain it as more of a facilities recommendation. Because we're putting this in all our locker rooms. We're putting it in. We actually did it in the Cosmo Lab, and it's held up really well, and it's got some slip resistance. We're a little worried about concrete. The kids run on concrete when it gets wet. So it didn't fit in the project. Wish it would have, but that would be a recommendation. Some of these other things, architect. Some of those like the screens, our architect design team came up with that.
I was just wondering if y'all had checked with some of the other directors from the other pools and see what they have to say as far as, what some of the items that possibly we wouldn't need at all.
Yeah, so we did that with the mostly the stuff in the basement. So we really got with the guy that runs the Walker pool, He gave us a lot of insight, and because Marvin Mock actually built that whole.
I know they did it with the base because we went ourselves and they told us that, but I was wondering about the alternates as well.
They would recommend an alternate 4B, I think every director at any, because you got the big screen and it's really awesome for the kids. And so that's one thing that they recommended, and our athletic department went to that. So it's
Really graduate went to like 5 or 6 throughout the state.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So number one seems like, of course, you want to do that, right? Because of the safety and how it looks. Number two, I mean, Flo, you used to go to the swim meets all the time. That would be super nice for them.
That's why I was
In
asking.
between and set up tables with.
Yeah, that's why I was asking how large the area was, because more than likely they're gonna use it for the coach, what is it called? The hospitality?
Yes.
So if they use it for that, I don't know if they're gonna have much need for it, much use for the students.
Well, how about if we do clubs? Club swims there, don't they set up tables of things for their teams?
This would be an outdoor area.
Right.
So this would be like, where, yeah, they're camps, like what you're saying, like the track meet, when the kids set up in camps and
Right.
stuff. Yeah, that's what they use it for.
Yeah, and then, 4B, of course, now the seating, I mean, 71 seats, when you're charging admission for some of these big meets, that would pay that $12,000 pretty fast.
That's what I was gonna get to as
And
well.
when we get to the big meets, 71 people is quite a few spectators, so I would be more inclined to keep that in, because it's a revenue maker, but it's also nice for parents to have a place to sit, right? And then, I don't,
And the last one, number 8, we would recommend that because when it all said and done, we have a building. I'm gonna have to come to you and talk about fund balance to outfit this, because there's gonna be a lot of furniture that we're going to purchase that's not within. We really don't like having that in there. It was in our bid, but when George goes and buys it, they're gonna charge us a fee for getting it for us. If we take it out, we have the savings that we can use in the project, and we would purchase it ourselves with our purchasing department and our athletic department.
So we haven't included any of the furniture on this?
No, so like we have athletic offices there. We're gonna have to buy, furniture. For
Yeah,
the
right.
office. So we'll take some of the ones they have, but we'll have to outfit some places. Seating areas in the lobby that we have, we're gonna have to purchase that furniture. And then there's a lot of loose equipment, like the bulkheads and all that stuff is in there. So
Okay.
this is talking about
All the pool stuff
rolls
is in
and
there.
all the things that they come with, like just that are loose equipment. But we would buy that ourselves.
number 7, besides the aesthetics of it, that's a big chunk of money. Is that function?
That's
Is
in
that
the,
what
that's just.
function, or is it just aesthetics?
And we can look at different ways of looking at this, because we can talk to Joris, because it's wall tile and it'll make all of the locker rooms and the restrooms look nice. Or we can just do like where the public sees.
Do y'all remember when we went?
At the subcommittee, there was conversation about that, and there was, they did point out that it does help with wear and tear
Yes.
of the
I
facility.
was gonna say, remember
It's
when we went to
protective.
see it and they told us that it was low maintenance, or it was best to clean, easiest, or?
So it's functional.
Yeah, it is actually with wall tile, because
Okay.
less, we'll have CMU, but it's over time, it's hard to paint.
And we don't have to repaint every 2 years.
And I think for our brown bag, what I can tell is the architects to kind of lay out a plan to tell you guys what was on the base bid, and on the alternate, all the areas that would be part of this, that will be covered under the retile or the tile that
That'd be
it
very
cost.
I will say, when you take the savings and I think we'll have funds available with the excess of bond funds that we had in the savings to do all of it. I want to make sure you know that we have some other projects that if the market stays great, we'll be fine. The only one that I know for sure that we're going to have to put money towards is the tracks. If we want to do a track to Scobie. The other 3 are really great, but I think those will be in budget. The Scobie is going to take a lot of moving of dirt and fixing of the terrain, and because we can't put it by the football field. So that's going to need some funding, but we'll bring that document to the GMP night on the brown bag. We'll do that discussion first, show you where we're at, and then we'll go from there.
So you bring current fund balance and what the projects that we have awaiting?
Correct.
Okay.
And I don't have to use any fund balance for this project. It'll be the bond funds that we have, from our previous projects that came in really good in
Okay.
budget. And we had some savings there that we had.
Honestly, I would like us to get as much of this done as we possibly can. Because just being at pool so many years, I can tell you that all of those will probably be needed at one point or another, including the seating, because you think that it's not going to be useful and there's only one row, but it will, especially when there's no individual seats. I don't know if they're going to have the individual, I don't remember, or if it's just bleacher. Because people will bring their bags and you're going to have people standing looking for seats and there won't be seats. And not everybody moves their stuff.
Okay. Well, that'll be December 8th. We'll have
Thank you.
You know, I have forgotten, is this the estimated cost or is this the cost that the contract?
This is what so our bid, right, our base bid right there is what they're saying they have gotten bids back. And they're ready to bring a GMP. The alternates are what they bidded out as well, and this is their pricing for us if we want to choose the alternates. So they're still working through it a little bit, but they're pretty confident these numbers are what they're going to be bringing to us to approve at the December 8th.
Yes. Okay.
Any other questions on the natatorium? And the last project I have for y'all was the transportation department. On that one's just, we met with the architects on site. We're getting ready to sign their contract and move that project along again for the summer of 2021 to begin.
What was the project again? Can you remind us?
The transportation department.
What were we going to do?
We're going to do the new bus wash station.
Oh, okay.
Aesthetic upgrades to the fueling station.
I'm sorry, I couldn't recall.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep up in the shop and inside the building, just do some mostly paint, tile, and things to make it look a little nice.
And that one, we're at a 1.4 construction budget.
Okay.
Any questions?
That's a lot of work that does.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
We didn't even start building it yet.
Yeah.
Okay, does that conclude our construction update?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Board members, B, C, and D, tax report, financial report, investment report, you've had that before you. Any questions? If you do, please give Brandon a call. Item E, report on Gibson bequests. You've also had that before you. Any questions on that? Enrollment counts, item F. Seems like we got a little drop, huh? Any questions there for Dr. Versta? Hearing none. Item G, review of purchases over 50,000. You've had that list. Okay, hearing no questions there, we'll move up to Bibliotech Connect status update.
Yes, sir. I have online, give a presentation on that. Mr. Jeff Powell.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Back in August, we brought an item of information to you because we were approached by Bexar County about creating a partnership to try to get internet in the homes of students who don't have access to it across Bexar County. And so tonight we're coming to you to let you know that we have taken some more steps in that to move forward. And the project is now known as Bibliotech Connect. And as I mentioned, their goal is to put internet to kids that don't have it for their schoolwork. And so we've been working with Bexar County and Southwest Research Institute and some of their contractors to plan how we're going to approach this and come up with an idea that'll work. And so the pilot that we're going to do is going to affect 100 students in the Elm Creek McNair area. Obviously, as any of you that live out there know, there is no broadband internet available, and the cell signal is pretty poor in some areas also. So that's the reason why we're focused in that area. And the gist of what they're trying with the pilot will do is we're going to take the internet signal that we already have at McNair, and they're going to relay this over Wi-Fi up to the water tower there on Barker Lane behind Elm Creek and McNair. And then on that water tower, they're going to take the signal and relay it out to the homes that will be participating in the pilot. Bear County is funding the pilot. They've got about 900,000 invested in it. And where we're at right now, we just got through finalizing how they want to do it. So now we're working on getting families to volunteer for the pilot to take part in it. Does anybody have any questions on it?
Yes.
I volunteer.
Oh, Mr. Oki says she volunteered. Mr. Oki, you gotta have a student at Elm Creek.
We have a tour on the property.
There we go.
Great.
Jeff, I don't know, we haven't talked about how we're gonna go about choosing students yet. Are the principals working on that?
Yes, sir. We, Mrs. Chris, we work with them. Those two schools, we've checked out a ton of hotspots to compared to the other schools in the district, especially the other elementaries. And so we worked with them to get an idea of which kids are in the most of a hotspot, either because of the area they're living or because, for other reasons. And so we gave those students to Southwest Research, and they have done a study to figure out how far away from the water tower you can be. So basically it comes from the students that they provided, but they have to live within 1.5 miles of the Elm Creek water tower. And that's the list that we're coming up with. And so I think there's 155 possible students in that area that fall on the list. And so we just sent out forms the other day asking the parents of those kids if they would like to participate. And then Southwest Research is going to call these families also to try to get some folks recruited so we can get working on it. And if everything works out great, the idea is that Bear County will be able to take what we do and then draw out a bigger plan to see how feasible it would be to expand in our area and then other areas around Bear County.
This is where the judge got tired of waiting for AT&T. He said we're going to do it themselves. And so hopefully what they learn here, they can take it and kind of push it out to hundreds of thousands of folks who don't have access to internet infrastructure. And Jeff has been a great point of contact working with the county and Southwest Research. Thanks, Jeff.
So they've already started with the pilot families or?
We just started working on contacting the families that are in the right area for the pilot to see who is interested in participating.
So by when do they suppose or they figure or predict that they're going to have the entire area done?
Well, the pilot is only for 100 students.
Okay.
It wouldn't be for the entire area necessarily, but they hope to start after Thanksgiving. They hope to have everything installed so that they can actually get to the houses and set up the equipment that these kids would need.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Are they actually using the water tower? The water tower project there? Is that what they're using?
Yes, sir.
They're putting something on the water tower.
But there's no water in it.
No, but we kept the tower. Now more food.
So we might as well use it for something.
We use it for irrigation. We still use it.
What do you?
Oh, that's right, irrigation. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item J, current class size at Indian Creek Elementary.
Yes, sir. I think Dr. Fay here, and she may be introduced to Mr. Ramirez.
I can do it. And so currently we have enrollment at our Indian Creek Elementary campus in one of our bilingual first grade classrooms that has exceeded the 22-to-1 ratios. And so we are currently at 24-to-1 in that class. And currently 18 of those students are attending face-to-face instruction. The remaining 6 are participating remotely. The enrollment resulting in this occurred on the exact date of October 15th. In our local policy, we are supposed to bring this to the board, and traditionally we would submit to the state for a waiver. However, under the district's innovation plan, we are moving forward with what we're supposed to do in that case, which is to inform our board that we have one class that's over the 22-to-1 ratio. It is at Indian Creek Elementary, and open it up for a conversation and if you have any questions.
How many children are face-to-face?
18.
In
And
that
so they are,
classroom?
yes, they are actually working with moving furniture out and things like that.
Oh,
Adrian
okay.
Ramirez has been over there
We're
so that
wondering.
we would have enough physical space between kids to still accommodate social distancing with the kids.
And we've done that successfully?
Yes.
With the 18 kids?
Yeah. So not all 18 kids come every day. We know that to be true. So we have that. We have about, not associated with this agenda item, but we do have lots of face-to-face kids who are tapping in and out of that setting. And so that is true to be at this campus as well. So, and so it's
Any
just.
other questions? Okay, thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Okay, and some of you may be wondering why I didn't go into I,
Mhm.
and that was my bad. I should have announced that pursuant to 551.06, that item needs to be discussed in closed session. So we will talk about it in closed session. Okay, now we will move on to item 10. We'll also discuss in closed session. Item 11, Administration and Human Resources, consider approval of Southwest ISD Scholarship Committee.
Yes, sir, we have Mr. Jesse Garcia, who is our point of contact, working with Dr. Gates and the committee, a recommending committee that oversees the scholarship. And every fall, we meet as a group and make recommendations of changes. And so Mr. Garcia is going to bring those changes. And I think you have it where you're sitting on the dais, and I think he highlighted it. So Jesse, I turn it over to Jesse.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, board members. So on November 4th, the district scholarship committee met, and we have 3 recommendations that we'd like to bring to the school board. And those recommendations, as things change and we try to accommodate the needs of our students, we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do on our side so that we're not holding up dollars for these students if they need them, and whatever other barriers might come up. So our first recommendation is that students would be able to receive up to $1,000 per semester in disbursements, depending on the award that they got. So for example, if you're a student and you've received a $6,000 scholarship, right now it's limited to about $500 per semester. We have students who are now graduating in 3 years, or some kids in 4 years, some kids in less than that. So if we're only giving them $500 a semester for 6 semesters, they're not being able to get all of those dollars in the time that they need them. So we'd like to recommend to the board that you would approve that the students can receive up to $1,000 per semester, regardless of what university college that they're attending. The second recommendation is that we have is that there's a pot of dollars that we pull these scholarships from to award to students each year. With the onset of Southwest Legacy and with Southwest High School, we're recommending that we take that pot of money, let's say it's $200,000, and we divide it in half so that both campuses have an equal amount of funds to be able to disperse scholarships. So there's kind of a high, medium, low award each year in scholarships, and we want to recommend that those same dollars are available at Southwest Legacy and at Southwest High School. And next year when we add CASTEM, we'll add CASTEM to the mix as well, taking their enrollment in mind, and then dividing those dollars up for Southwest Legacy, Southwest High School, and CASTEM. But for this year, we're recommending that we take that pot of money, or recommending that you all approve that we take that pot of money and divide it in half, so that each school has an equal amount of dollars.
Is enrollment even right now between the 2 high schools practically?
It's pretty even, yes, it's pretty even, but.
Difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
But just by dividing those dollars in half, that way we don't have 10 kids who get the $3,000 scholarship at Southwest High School and only 2 at Southwest Legacy. We're just trying to make it as even, as fair as possible.
Equitable.
And the last recommendation is, as people change over time, we're recommending that you approve the new group of district scholarship committee members, and it's included in that packet as well. And we do have folks who from year to year change, and so we want to bring those group of folks to you, and we recommend that you approve that group, because that's the group that will be serving in that capacity this year to help us make decisions. Yes, ma'am, that's the one.
All of these people on here are active members of the committee?
Correct, yes. And so we meet once in the fall and again in the spring. And if there's any issues in between, then we'll call another meeting and bring the folks in as well to discuss it then. So those are the 3 recommendations that we have, and that is up to $1,000 per semester, that we divide the funds equally between the 2 high schools, and we ask that you approve the new district scholarship committee or revised members tonight.
And that would be filled out for now.
Correct. Yes, that's the vacant spot that we have on there. Yes, sir.
So there's 19 members, 13 are voting members. Next year, with the rise of CASTM having a graduating class, the CASTM principal would automatically become a member.
Yeah.
So next fall, we'll have to try to make it an odd number so that.
Make another change.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for Jesse?
No, I just want to thank Jesse. He's done a lot of great work with this and brought great information to the group. And the Zoom meeting was one of the better Zoom meetings that we went through with a large group. So,
I move.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on staff recommendation that the board approve district scholarship committee recommendations for disbursement of funds, equal distribution of funds per high school, and the updated DSC members. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, board. Okay, item 12A, consider approval of resolution and retention incentive.
Yes, sir.
Retention incentive.
Yes, sir. The district is recommending providing $1,000 employee retention incentive for the 2021 school year. Some of the guidelines is that a employee has to be a full-time employee based on TRS regulations. Must be employed as of October 31st, 2020, and must remain employed for their entire contract. This will need to be funded from fund balance, so the cost to the district fund balance would be about $2.1 million to give this $1,000 retention and incentive stipend. So the recommendation is that the board approves the resolution for the employee retention incentive.
I move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second that the board approve a resolution for an employee retention incentive as presented. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of happy staffers.
So Esther,
Yes,
I just want to ask a quick question. When will they be getting it?
We are December 11th, the week of December, it's December 11th, is that Friday, I believe, that's the week. So we come back from Thanksgiving break, we have 1 week, and then the second week. We have a payroll already happening that first week we come back, and then that second week is the week that we don't have payroll. Because the third week we have double payroll, so they'll get their check like 2 weeks before Christmas.
Awesome.
So that's important to know is we, through the work of Selena, each staff member, teacher, will receive an envelope with we've done the annual ornament for hopefully years now, how many years now. But this actual thin foil type ornament fit inside there, via their information in there. And that's when they're gonna get their notice. So normally we would hand them a physical check because we know something tangible goes a long way. Part of this is to show appreciation and build morale, but safely, it's better to do it through the digital means. But we're going to notify them when they get that card as well. So they're gonna get something tangible, it won't be a check, but they're gonna get notification that check is going into their electronic bank account, or however they get their funds.
Thank you, Brandon, for doing that work.
Do they get something now on the regular payroll?
Sure.
Do they get a advice now on the regular payroll? They get anything that tells them they've got money?
Yes, we have an employee service center that any employee can go in and check their payroll deductions, their payroll, their leave, all that stuff. So
They don't receive anything, but they have 24-hour access to the at any time.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, item B, consider approval of 2020 certified tax roll. Brandon?
Yes, sir. I know back when we started doing budget, we go through the budget, we talk about taxable values. We get an appraised value in July. That helps us build our budget so that we can see where we are as far as taxable value and plus our collection rate. As that goes on throughout the year, there's protests and there's different people protesting their taxes, and so that changes. And we get into October, and then Bexar County Appraisal District certifies our roll. And so tonight, I'm coming to you When we do that, they ask us to approve it, the board has to approve the roll. And so our taxable value for the 2020 certified tax roll is $4,036,507. Just to kind of give you a comparison, last year, we approved our roll around 3.9. So we gradually are growing every year. And so if you go back even 8 years ago, it was at like 2.5 billion. And so our taxable values continue to grow. And as development happens, you're going to see this number still go up. And so tonight, the recommendation is that the board approve the 2020 certified tax roll as soon.
I move. I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the staff recommendation of the board approve the 2020 certified tax roll as submitted. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 13, curriculum and instruction. We have considered approval of 2021 campus performance objectives.
Yes, before I turn this over to Dalila, I think Dalila or Lisa Bolte, or there's Dalila. Before I turn it over to them, I just want to remind the board on items 13A and 13B, we extensively went through those, actually had principals come do some of the reporting out. So if it's your pleasure, we can spend 2 to 3 hours on these two items.
No.
Or we can get in and give you a high 25,000 elevation to recap real quick what we went through those days. Technically, they probably should have been on the consent since we really went through them thoroughly. So I'll turn it over to Dalila, and I think the board is looking for a 50,000 elevation on items A and B. Yeah, and I think Mr. Vasquez has introduced you to item A of the campus performance objectives, Dalila.
Yes, we've been meeting with our campuses and also throughout the year. So we began with some accountability stories where these campus performance objectives were presented. And so now we do have Lisa Bolte with this real quick, big view of the work that is happening with our campus and the campuses right now.
Okay, good evening, Mr. President and board members. So the first slide I have is the campus performance objectives for 2021. And the campuses went through their data and looked at all relevant data. Because of COVID, they had to look at 2019 accountability and 2019 STAR. And so they reviewed their ratings, their taper, their distinction designations, and they determined what their campus performance objectives should be for 2020, 2021. If, as you look through the campus performance objectives, and they're all in your board book, you'll notice some similarities. They all address their STAR performance, their attendance performance, and then they have campus specific objectives, such as at elementary, they have K through 2 performance. At high school, they have high school CCMR performance, and then any campus initiatives that they have set goals for. So we're asking that you approve the campus performance objectives for 2020, 2021.
Thank you, Lisa.
Need a motion, board?
I move.
Second.
For a motion that the board approve the 2021 campus performance objectives as per statute TEC 11.251 through 11.253, so that they can be posted on the district-wide website and continue to be worked on. Any questions or discussion?
Question, sir.
Okay.
It's for, I guess it's for Dr. B. I just want to make sure that all the objectives, we have everything we need to meet all the objectives, because I couldn't get into the realm of things, so I'm just asking you the question. Do we have everything at the schools to meet all the objectives that are being presented today?
Yes, yeah, so, I mean, absolutely. We should be setting realistic objectives. If these are things that we want to achieve, and they should have the support around them to achieve those objectives. I mean, my simple answer or direct answer is yes. We should have everything we need.
And of course, objectives are always made with accountability in mind, and so we can't hold them accountable if we don't give them the tools they need. So thank you for that comment and question. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. One more time. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item B, targeted improvement plans.
Thank you. These were the target improvement plans that we did bring before the board during the brown bag earlier
Yes.
this month. And so now again, we're going to just give a high elevation of a view of the work that is occurring right now with our 5 campuses that have had to complete a TIP. Lisa?
All right, so targeted improvement plans use the Effective Schools framework that's developed by TEA, which provides 5 different levers and then action plans underneath each lever. So it's a clear vision of what effective schools and districts do across the state for excellence. So the levers are strong school leadership and planning, where we're developing campus instructional leaders. Effective, well-supported teachers, where we're recruiting, selecting, assigning, inducting, and retaining staff that is highly qualified. A positive school culture that's compelling and aligned. High quality curriculum, where our curriculum and assessments are aligned to our TEKS. And then effective instruction, where there's objective-driven daily lesson plans and data-driven instruction. So the campuses reviewed those and they determined which 2 or 3 of those actions they were going to focus on as part of their turnaround plan for this year. So at McNair Middle School, they're focusing on 5.1 and 5.3, their lesson planning and their data-driven instruction. At Legacy High School, they are focusing on 1.1, developing their campus instructional leaders, 5.1, their lesson plans, and 5.3, their data-driven instruction. At McCullough Middle School, they're working on 1.1, instructional leaders, 5.1, their lesson planning, and 5.3, their data-driven instruction. At Spicewood Park Elementary, they're focusing on 4.1, curriculum and assessments that are aligned to TEKS, 5.1, daily lesson plans, and 5.3, data-driven instruction. And our last tip plan is for Hidden Cove Elementary, where they're focusing on 1.1, developing campus instructional leaders, 5.1, daily lesson planning, and 5.3, data-driven instruction. So we're bringing before you the targeted improvement plans for these 5 campuses for board approval so that they can be submitted to TEA for their review.
Thank you. Board members, at this time, I am looking for a motion on the target improvement plan.
I move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second that the board approve the 2021 target improvement plan for Sharon Krista McCullough Middle School, Ronald McNair Middle School, Southwest Legacy High School, Spicewood Park Elementary, and Hidden Cove Elementary. Does anyone have any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have item C, consider approval of CTE contact hours stipend for CTE teachers. Lord, who's doing this one?
Yes, thank you. So this piece comes with also some adjustments due to COVID. We have some very specific courses in our career, technology, and education where students have to complete specific hours. And so Ms. Zelina will go into the detail. Celine?
Good evening, Board President, board members, and Dr. Versta. In an effort to support our high school seniors in earning their industry-based certification and also earn their CCMR point, we provided a recommendation for students to come in on Saturdays to get more experience, hands-on experience in the labs. So we want to go ahead and ask for approval for CTE contact hour stipends. I'd like to introduce our CTE director, Dr. Berta Ortiz, to go ahead and present the stipend information.
Good evening, Southwest ISD School Board and Dr. Versta. One of the areas that have come up as a need for the campuses is for students to earn their CTE industry-based certifications. Due to COVID, there are some students that did not meet the hours in the spring. So the proposal brought forth today is to provide the CTE teacher stipend to support CCMR and also so they can earn their IBC. Some information on the stipend would be that the stipend would be $100 per session with a max of 6 sessions per CTE teacher. The total cost would be based on the need for each program of study and on any future pandemic-related challenges that may arise. There are 4 programs of study that are currently in need, and they're welding, automotive collision, automotive technology, and renewable energy. We'll be bringing in 12 students. We continue our efforts to ensure that our students are on track to earn their IBC regardless of the current situation. And at this time, we are requesting that the board of CTE stipends.
I have a question. How are the cosmetology kids getting all of their hours? Are they having an issue getting them, or they're on track?
The cosmetology was worth for this particular stipend agreement because the cosmetology teachers are already getting a different stipend. And so that would be under those, but there are, they are bringing students in. They haven't, the campuses have not expressed an issue with that, with them not being on track.
My understanding of the Cosmo program, the students are allowed to get their hours through via Zoom as long as the teacher is present on the Zoom. And so there are more, I understand, that are off track because just the virtual environment is different. But we have students throughout the district who are more off track right now. I've been in normal traditional face-to-face year. We're working on a lot of those issues, how we make that better and make contact. So, but for the most part, students who are tapping into the program are accumulating their hours towards the module.
Right, if they're just mostly doing virtual, like the seniors in the program, don't they have to do more hands-on credit? And are we visiting the need for Saturday school for them? I mean, if we're gonna approve stipends, are we gonna ask the Cosmo teachers to come in on Saturdays? And then if we do, are we gonna have to come back and approve the stipend for them?
This stipend would be a blanket stipend for any CTE.
Okay.
Right now, they have these teachers volunteering to come in on Saturdays.
Okay.
Doesn't mean others won't.
All right.
But these are the 4
So
studies.
it's
Right?
not specific.
Correct.
Okay.
So this stipend is it's kind of like a global for all the CTE. At any point, we need to have CTE teacher come in.
Okay.
This stipend will be approved for any of them to come in on the 6 sessions. First semester too. So it'll be changed for next time.
Yes. You know that the Cosmo teachers have done curbside distribution of materials the kids need at home. So they are actually going to work at home on the models that they normally would use in the classrooms.
Right. So let me just clarify. So you mentioned that the Cosmo teachers already get a stipend.
Correct.
But if they feel the need to come in on Saturdays, then they're gonna be eligible for this stipend specifically.
Dr. Ortiz, you want to answer that? Did you hear that?
Yes, it was my understanding that because they already get a stipend, though the additional hours would be covered under the stipend because the stipend that they currently receive covers them coming before the school day and after the school day, similar to other CTE teachers that get stipends.
The other CTE teachers, we have a bunch of CTE teachers, that don't have stipends.
Right, but my only concern is that if we're gonna offer teachers a stipend to come in on Saturday, and we give a stipend for Cosmo teachers already because they're coming in super early and staying late.
Right.
If they're gonna come in on Saturday, on top of that, we can't include that in their stipend they're getting for coming early and late.
We can revisit that, and we can allow that. If they're coming on Saturdays, we'll work together to make sure that they get it.
Right. Yeah.
And I think this stipend is generated from the additional Saturdays or evenings brought on by the interruption of the pandemic in the spring. I don't know if this is a permanent stipend moving forward, but we know the kids' progress were interrupted
Right.
And to get them back on track, it's gonna require a lot of Saturdays from some teachers.
Right.
So I think we need to also define that this is not a permanent thing. It's
Mhm.
not a stress school year.
I just don't want to, if somebody's already working and getting a stipend for what they're already doing,
Yeah.
we can't expect them to come do extra and not include them in the stipend.
Okay. And Brandon, it says a maximum of 6 sessions per teacher. Does every teacher have more than one student or it's one-on-one?
No, right now, I believe, I'd have to let Dr. Ortiz, I know there's 12 students that need hours. And then I guess they're in random programs, so it's not a whole lot of students right now that are gonna come in on a Saturday.
Those only that are
So,
coming in.
out of those 4 programs of study, I don't know the ratio of what, like building, how many it is versus the other programs. Dr. Ortiz, I don't know if you have that information?
Yes, the current priority for bringing in students to get their hours are for seniors primarily and first and foremost. So it says a maximum of 6 Saturdays. This is going to be based upon the progress the students are making, or if we have any other additional school closures. We just wanted to make sure that we were prepared with something that would cover in anticipation of anything else that comes up. Currently, those are the 4 programs of study that have been identified. I have been working with the college and career military readiness teams at the campuses, and this is an area of need. So I'll be working closely with the academic dean, and the academic dean will ensure that the students that are coming in have contacted their students and are making sure that they're attending. And so it's not going to be like every teacher gets to come in on Saturday. It's going to be based on program of study need and ensuring that they are recruiting the adequate amount of students to be able to support a Saturday session. So it's something that's going to be closely monitored to ensure that we are making progress and to ensure that students are moving closer to be on track to get their IBC by the end of the year or earlier if possible.
And then one additional question. If the kids are all, probably they're all falling short, right? Not just the seniors. So do we need to also visit the juniors so that next year they're not so far behind that we can't catch them up? So I know you said we're focusing on seniors, but we might want to look at our junior class because we don't want to get them day one of their senior year and they have twice as much to do and they're not able to do it.
Yes, I'll make a notation. We're just trying to make sure that if we have 12 available slots, of course, we're trying to maximize bringing in the number of students to make progress, but priority would be given to seniors. That way they graduate with their IDC. But yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm looking for somebody to make a motion on the recommendation from staff.
I move. A second.
We have a motion and a second that the board approve CTE contact hour stipend for CTE teachers as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Doctor, thank you.
Thank you.
Lloyd, before we go into closed session, do you have one more thing?
Just a reminder to the board, this Friday is the Friday before the Thanksgiving break. So the district is actually closed next week. And so it's an early out Friday. So all campuses and Zoom students will Zoom out an hour earlier. I know there are some one-act plays that are happening at Southwest High School in the following the Black Box Fair on December the 3rd, December the 8th, and December the 11th. If you want to catch some of that great entertainment, I'm sure Selena will send something out.
There's a flyer actually on each one of your desks. It should be a green sheet, and that has the breakdown because they have actually 3 different one-act plays, and so it's a lot to read out there. But you guys can look at the options on there.
Great.
Sylvester, I have your flyer right here.
So I just wanted, those are the only two things right now, sir. Just want to thank all of our staff and all of our teachers, and we're all going through a really weird year, and we'll get through it on the other side of this thing called a pandemic. So.
Great. Does anyone else have one more thing before I go into closed session? Okay, hearing none, in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapters D and E, and pursuant to Government Code 551.074 on personnel and 551.072 on real property, as well this time 551.076 on safety and security. We will now go into closed session at 8:02. We'll open this meeting back, regular meeting back up at 7:57. And we'll go to item on personnel.
You're on the other side.
Central Time, sir.
Central Time.
Oh, okay. 8:57. Yes. Okay. And we'll go to the items on personnel.
We approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Do we have one more thing, Lloyd?
No, sir. I just want to wish everyone a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. I know this is a time that we spend with family. Just encourage everyone to be safe. I know our numbers in COVID are definitely ticking up, reflective of our state and our nation. And so we're going to encourage all of our staff to be vigilant during this next week, and want to encourage our trustees to do the same as well. Thank you for what you do.
Great. And I also want to say, wish everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I want to thank you for your patience with me as being on video. Things are going well here in Phoenix. We'll have some results hopefully by next week. And I appreciate y'all making my first board meeting as president as smooth as it was. Thank you and good night. Close this meeting at 7:59.
Good job. 8:59.
8:59.